All right. So now you guys should see like a live button going on over here.
Yes, I
Right.
do see the yellow live button, upper right-hand corner.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, this is, I guess, Group C, which is Monday nights from 5 p.m. on. My name is Nelson.
I'm Mary.
And I'm
Hello.
Heather.
All right. So the first part of what we're supposed to discuss here is the prompt says, as this week's readings and lectures focused on the various approaches, to studying leadership, please discuss with your group which perspective or approach made the most sense to you. In considering the approaches and theories presented, think about your own beliefs about leadership and how leaders can motivate followers to achieve goals. So I'll start off, really from this week's reading so far, I think the things that I tend to follow when it comes to leadership are really more of a employee or team driven focused leadership, where if you're not working together or putting more emphasis on what your team has to say rather than just what you have to say or what you think is right and heading the way, then I think that it's really important to work together as a group like that and really lead by example rather than just, crack the whip type of thing. So that's been my experience, at least. Some of the leadership qualities or things that I think of when it comes to leadership. And I don't know if you guys have any other experiences or feelings on that stuff.
Well, I would tend to agree with you that I think that communication is key. If you're not communicating with your team, then they're not going to be, number one, getting the message or have the expectations, know what the expectations are for them to perform their job appropriately. And then also, if you're not communicating, they're not feeling like they're being heard or that their opinion is valued, which has a lot to do with productivity in the workplace. People have to feel like their input is valued in order for them to want to come to work every day and work hard and get things done. So for me, I think I follow a lot of democratic values as far as that goes, communication-wise. I do tend to have a little bit of authoritarian going on sometimes, because when people don't want to do things and you're like, no, this has to be done and it has to be done this way, so I'm trying to not do that. I'm trying to back off from some of that because the response is different. When you tell somebody to do something, it's different than when you ask them to do it. Find that I'm getting a better response when I ask rather than tell.
Gotcha. I don't know, Heather, for you, what's been your experience?
Oh, sorry. Can you see me?
I can't.
Hey, Stephanie just popped up.
Woohoo!
Hey, Stephanie.
Oh.
I think your microphone's off.
There we go.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've been having so many problems with my headset. It's stupid. This is the first time it's worked in a while.
You joined us at a good time because we just started. Nelson started, and then I just spoke about what the prompt wants us to discuss tonight, which is what we find good in a leadership position, what we find bad in a leadership position, and any personal experience that we have with that. So we were just going in a circle as to who, and then so Heather's up, and then you'll be up.
Okay. You guys can hear me still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. In my experience, I'm just thinking about my current boss. He's a really good leader. And he's more of the authoritarian, and he gives us all goals individually on what we should do. And I kind of like that style of leadership because my previous bosses were more of the laissez-faire. Is that how you say it?
Laissez-faire.
And and she was more and I don't think that worked as well. So I like the authoritarian style of leadership communication.
Awesome. Yeah, my previous boss as well was more of is it laissez-faire? I don't know
Laissez.
how to say it. Laissez-faire. He was more of a laissez-faire, where he was just kind of like, he was there as a manager, and then people just kind of learned that they could walk all over him, and so things never got done, and when they did get done, they were not done appropriately. So, yeah, my last one was like that too.
Yeah.
It's kind of frustrating, because then as a supervisor, I didn't feel like I could overstep my bounds, and do things differently than he wanted them done. But at the same time, how do you circumvent that whole situation?
Because I like structure in my environment, so I don't know. Yeah, I like to have goals set and tasks set.
I don't know. Stephanie, if you want to share some of yours, I do have some comments that I want to say, but I want to wait till everyone kind of shares their opinion before I say it.
Uh-oh.
Hey, are you timing this, by the way? 12 to 15 minutes?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, gosh. So,
sorry.
no, you're cool. So I've had, what I can really compare as far as leadership is my previous boss compared to my current one. I work at Starbucks. I don't know if
Me too.
any of you as well. Okay, so you probably know a lot of what I've gone through, but my previous manager was amazing up until a point, but that's another story. She did not like to micromanage, so she gave me a lot of that freedom while teaching me and coaching me to kind of develop skills on my own, which really helped me to kind of find out that I had leadership skills I didn't realize that I even possessed, because I never had any desire to be a leader until she helped me promote to a shift supervisor. And fast forward a bit now, I left that store and I came to a new store, and I also stepped down because of some stuff that happened. My new manager does nothing but micromanage. She's a wonderful person, so it's really hard because I do adore her as a person, but my goodness, like, you cannot do anything without her looking over your shoulder and making sure you're doing it right. And it's very frustrating because it's like, I know what I'm supposed to do, but she's had a lot of experiences where her shift supervisors they require the micromanaging because they just can't seem to, figure out how to run a shift on their own. So she's trying to promote me now, and I think I'm just going to have a hard time because I'm used to being with a manager that doesn't micromanage, and now I'm going to be with one that does, and I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to deal with that.
Yeah.
Have you thought about sitting down with her and letting her know how you feel about it? Is she that kind of person? Can you sit down with her and have a conversation about what works for you or how you feel about her micromanaging you?
She is, and we've had a couple one-on-ones already. So, it wasn't specifically about this because I wasn't actually planning to be a shift supervisor at the time of my one-on-one. But I've kind of talked to her about having her having to micromanage, and how I didn't think that was right for her. But I think, even though, like, I'm hoping that I can help her to stop doing that, because I'm going to hopefully be a shift supervisor for her that she can rely on, because I just think that she hasn't had somebody to rely on. So I think it's going to be harder for her to let go for a little while. But I do need to have another conversation with her about that if I'm going to be working for her as a shift supervisor.
Yeah, and then you have to realize that as you go into the shift supervisor role and you are demonstrating to her that you do know what you're doing and that you know how to get things done, then that's also going to make her feel more comfortable relying on you and not micromanaging you so much. So it might just be that she's just, a little gun shy because she has had some bad experiences. A lot of times it's because they promote too quickly with a much younger crowd, and it creates an issue because the younger ones tend to not be as reliable sometimes, not always, as us older people. So Not all the time.
I don't work at Starbucks, but I'm there every day buying stuff. But I work in the corporate environment, and I don't like to be micromanaged at all.
Right.
Yeah, I like to be given my tasks and know that my boss knows I could do the job. So
Yeah.
I like that kind of freedom.
I mean, I definitely like I do like structure. I like routine. That does make me comfortable. But if I know it, you don't need to be watching over my shoulder to make sure I'm doing it.
Right,
Please trust me. I'm going to do it.
No, that's really true. I mean, for me, I work in a sales environment. The best way to describe it is I'm like the living version of Tommy Boy. If you've ever seen
Yeah.
like I sell brake shoes, everything, and I cover like Utah, Idaho, Montana, and Nevada. And so my boss, I only see maybe 6 to 7 times a year.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, face to face. But I actually just went through a transition with a boss, so I was actually bossless for like 4 or 5 months, and reported to like the boss's boss. But seeing the difference between one regional manager to the next has been kind of like night and day. Just because you don't get that daily task of what you're supposed to do, you just kind of know this is what's expected of you every single time you come to work. And especially since I don't have like a set office, I'm traveling constantly and seeing people. There's definitely a learning curve there. And the first boss was very micromanaging. I had reports, I had calls that I was on constantly with them where you just kind of felt like, let me just do my job. And now that's kind of transitioned to a 180 of, hey, I'm going to let you do your thing. If you have issues, that's what I'm here for, to help you and guide you. And when I'm working with you, that's when I'm going to give you critiques or things that you can improve on. And we'll follow up with it the next time we meet, which is going to be like 2 months later. So it's definitely interesting, way different than, working with your boss on a day-to-day basis. And I've had that where you're micromanaged all the time, and it just doesn't really, I think it goes back to like all of us in the beginning of like chapter 4, it shows like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And once you have like your basics taken care of, you start worrying more about like self-fulfillment and self-actualization, and worrying about how you feel personally. And if you get micromanaged constantly, it just subtly makes you feel like I'm not doing what I should be doing, or I'm not realizing my full potential in whatever I'm trying to do right now. And so I see how that like irks at you and pulls at you, because whether your boss is 300 miles away or 3 feet away, that micromanaging makes you feel like you're not adequate enough. And that's where I see the big issue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I know at Starbucks, for us, as far as being at Starbucks, it's very structured. Company-wise, there's expectations, and they clearly lay those out for each role. So a barista has different expectations than a shift supervisor does, as a manager and assistant manager also have different expectations. And they lay that out really well. So a lot of times if you're getting micromanaged by a manager, it could be that they're new to management, they're new to the store, and they're just trying to, make sure everybody understands what their roles are and what their positions are, what the expectations are. So it's something that you don't really see. I haven't seen, at least in my position, a lot of that at Starbucks, because the roles are so defined by the company. So the manager really doesn't have to define the roles for you. But like I said, sometimes if they're new or they're new to that store, they might just be trying to solidify that everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing at the same time.
Yeah, I think in my case, because it's actually the opposite. She's been a manager over 10 years, and she's been at the same store, I think, almost as long. So she's quite established at that store, or I say that store. Sorry, sometimes I still have a hard time thinking of it as my store. But anyway, it's only been a little over a year. I was at my old store for 6 years, so.
Oh, wow.
But I think she also, in her case, she has her own certain set of expectations, and nobody else lives up to them. I mean, she's good. She's fast. She expects everyone to be like like that. And when people don't meet that, even new people, that's what I struggle with too. I train a lot of the new folks, and I think they do pretty well, but they still don't go at her speed that she wants, and her frustration kind of comes out.
Yeah.
Oh
And
gosh,
that's
that's
good.
difficult because new people, especially at Starbucks, with everything that they have to learn, that can be really hard, especially when they're trying to build up that confidence. To feel like they know what they're doing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I should work at Starbucks. I'm there every day. I know all the orders. Just kidding.
I say that to some of my customers. Some of my customers, hey, you could come back here and do this job.
I'm obsessed with the mobile app. I mean, whoever created that is a genius.
I have to tell you guys, the only problem with the mobile order and pay is that they're not giving us any more labor to allow us to run that. So we could get hit with a line to the door and 10 mobile order and pay orders and extra person to help us do that. It's just like, deal with it, figure it out.
That stinks. That's a good idea, but
Well,
I'll remember that next time during rush.
No, our problem is people are going to the wrong store to pick up their order.
Oh, yeah.
We get people.
Yep.
We have two close locations. They always come to ours. Wasn't supposed to come to us.
That's funny.
it's brutal.
That's hard.
So you end up making drinks for free.
Yep.
Well, hey guys, we are at the time right now. So
Okay.
if you guys are good, it was a good discussion. I think so, at least.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think so too.
I thought
Sorry
12
I was
minutes would
late.
take forever, but
No, I'm just glad you got here. That was awesome.
yeah, definitely. All right, guys. Well, hey, have a good one.
Okay.
I'll see you next
week.
Monday.
Bye.
Bye.
Yep. Bye.